Hello, everyone. I'm back. We've made it to another day, and today we are going to go to the next stage. And again, not in whatever order, but this is the order that we're going in. But this is actually the stage of anger. Um, it's one of those things where it's like frustration starts to give way to anger. We've gone through the shock, the disbelief, or you may have gone through those things at this point. You've dealt with the pain, and then sometimes some people have this thing with being emotional. They don't like to cry, they don't like to feel weak or whatever else. Or sometimes it's because not even just that, but the pain is just too great. You don't know what to do with it. And this is where anger comes into play. This is one of those scary emotions because it causes you to lash out, and sometimes you have no control over your emotions. You start to have unwarranted blame on others, or even on yourself, or even God, or even the loved one. You're the deceased one who's actually passed away. We have all of this anger, and we're just looking for ways to get it out. As I mentioned, that was something that I struggled with because I was in denial, and then it would start to become a little bit more real, and then when I realized that it was real, I was turning to anger. I was becoming very angry, but then I was realizing, well, who do I get angry with? Who am I to be angry? Should it be my mom? Should it be God? Should it be myself? For me, as I talked a little bit as far as the guilt and everything. So anger was definitely a very real emotion for me. I see that I'm finally coming out of that stage. Thank God for that. But it's normal. You might be experiencing some type of anger. And I would just tell you to be very mindful with that emotion, because a lot of times we know that many emotions are really just a cover up for something else. So a lot of people actually use anger to cover up hurt. They use anger to cover up pain. They use anger to cover up a lot of that, the sides that they don't want people to see, their vulnerability and things like that. So we have to be careful, because especially when you lash out on those who are around you, you are potentially causing permanent damage to some of your relationships. You are causing other people who are trying to be there for you and trying to support you to suffer because of your anger. And of course, we know that anger is nothing but bottled up emotions that are finally being released. It is nothing but mismanaged pain that is actually surfacing. Is this something that you have gone through? I want to know, is it a time that you've actually found yourself angry? Is there a time that you found yourself frustrated? Is there a time that you found yourself lashing out on anyone else? I'm sure more than likely they knew, what the reason behind it was. But either way, I would even give you a suggestion to just maybe apologize to that person and explain to them what you were going through at that time and why you did that. And it's something for me that I know that honestly, I'm just now in this moment, Holy Spirit, realizing that it's something that I need to do as far as my children. And I think specifically my son. He's 12 years old, and we both we can be a little hothead sometimes, as far as our tempers and our attitudes. And I a lot of times feel like I was not there for him the way that I should have been when my mom passed. I was in my own fog. I was in my own disbelief. I was going through all my different emotions. And of course, after the funeral and after everything else, um, I was, shocked. I was a little bit zombie-ish. But then I also had those times where I was just lashing out and frustrating and going off on him. And it wasn't fair because he was going through his own emotions. He was going through his own grief. He was trying to deal with it all as well because, again, we're very family oriented. So he lost somebody as well. And he lost someone that we were not expecting to lose, even though we saw physically, her health declining a little bit. We just chalked it up to being the effects from chemo or whatever. So I'm deciding on this day that when my son gets in from school, I'm going to apologize to him because I know that I did lash out at him sometimes, and I know that he can be very sensitive, and um, makes me a little bit sad because he didn't deserve that. So I would ask you to examine your relationships, to examine people that you may have responded to in a certain way, and just really try to get the anger under control. Again, and anger in itself is not a sin. So let's keep that in mind. There are ways that you can deal with anger. There's anger management, of course. And forgive me if this doesn't sound holy, but I actually have a friend that suggested, hey, why don't we go to the shooting range? Because that was my thing. I felt like I was a ticking time bomb and I was going crazy because I knew I had this anger that I needed to get out. I could not blame God. I could not blame my mom. I was trying not to blame myself. I was like, there's some anger that I need to get out, and I need to do something. I need to break some glass. I need to do something in order to get rid of this. And he had suggested, let's go to the shooting range and maybe that'll help you. So it's something that, we still talk about. And I said that I was going to eventually do. But my thing again to you is just be mindful as far as your anger is concerned. Ephesians 4:26 says, in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are angry. So again, it's not necessarily telling us to not get angry. It's about what we do and how we react and respond in that anger. But we're going to continue talking about this a little bit more tomorrow as it pertains to anger and bargaining. But I just want you to look and just reflect on any anger that you may have suppressed, any anger that you may have endured during this time. And let's see how you've handled it, and let's look at ways that we can possibly handle it going forth. God bless, and we will come back here again tomorrow. Bye bye.